dies in darkness. So it's a precious thing to me. And then I was lucky enough to have this second career in public policy advocacy at Growth and Justice, and we are focused on the idea that racial disparity, economic inequality, and environmental degradation are not just immoral, wrong, but just bad for business growth. So thus the idea of growth and justice, that social justice is actually good for economic growth. I'm still working there as a policy fellow on something called the Minnesota Equity Blueprint. It's a comprehensive guidebook for a more shared prosperity, a more inclusive economy, erasing racial disparities and regional enmity, realizing all our human potential and restoring our environment. This includes, of course, a full throttle effort at climate action and combining that with the idea of equity. Well, we can't do all this. We cannot get there without a healthier democracy. We've always tried to find common cause of growth and justice with groups like the League of Women Voters, all the various campaign finance reform efforts, the efforts to get big money and special interests out of politics, or at least reduce their influence. And so we've always seen Fair Vote as a great ally because they have this mission, and this is right from the website, of, quote, inclusive voting systems that foster greater choice and a stronger voice for all voters through increased competition, participation, and representation. That is a lofty goal. And it's, yes. As scary as all the global, national, and local threats to democracy may be, I'm with the optimists and with reformers like yourselves who see democracy not as some old civics textbook model or some contraption that has to be preserved, but as a living organism and something that always must be nurtured and allowed to grow and change. And the great leaders, from the suffragettes to Jefferson to many presidents, have talked about democracy as a living organism, something that has to change. And I'd like to quote someone who's, I think, really nailed it on this score. His name is Lee Drutman. He's the author of a new book called Breaking the Two-Party Doom Loop. Great title. In a recent New York Times column, he predicted that, quote, when future historians look back on the 2010s, they will observe three larger trends that pave the way for a new era of reform by clearing away the old consensus. He describes that old consensus as a loss of faith in neoliberal economics, conservative economics actually, the breakdown of white male-dominated social and cultural hierarchies, and the collapse of the normal political process. Drutman said this: Mr. Trump's election may yet turn out to be the shock and near-death experience that American political systems need to right themselves. And then he says this, that the one reform with the most potential to break our zero-sum partisanship, ranked choice voting, is gaining tremendous momentum at the state and local level. And then he noted new victories in Maine and New York City, and with Alaska and Massachusetts possibly next, and of course we're going to expand it in Minnesota. He added this: by removing the spoiler effect of third parties, ranked choice voting can break the us versus them force driving our partisan warfare and create space for a political realignment that creates new coalitions to shape economic reforms and negotiate social change. And that's why I'm for it.